I wasn't prepared. I'm dealing with something right now because my wife just texted me and she's like, we have to leave school early because Riley just puked. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with my family, bro? Everybody's sick. Riley is the one that was in the hospital last week. Apparently, they just had a fire drill at school. And, he just, luckily he was outside. But, yeah, he just started projectiling everywhere. Nice. So that's something he's never going to live down in 7th grade. So it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. But he's fine. He's just a little green, she says. But she's going to pick up the other boy as well. So that way I can continue, my show. Her day was pretty much done anyway. She finishes at 2:30. So, but that's funny. So, I was dealing with that 2 minutes before this, and I'm like, you don't need me to leave, right? Because I'm not going to leave. I plan to do the show. We have to watch Karine Jean-Pierre lie to the American public. Actually, I wouldn't even say that she's lying. I would say she's just not even answering anything. So would that still be considered lying if she's not answering any questions that people ask? Because maybe you could avoid lying by not answering any questions. So I don't know. And then I also had a good laugh too because Ali Alexander posted online because someone said you disappeared after January 6th. It's weird. And he's like, disappeared. I was banned from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, MailChimp, and every other major website. Biden investigated me for 2 years. Pelosi put me before her committee for 8 hours, 3 hours before a grand jury. I lost my life savings and rental. Fed? ? And I'm like, is that really a Fed asking whether or not he's a Fed? Because, Ali Alexander is one of the most corrupt, fake-ass politicians, fake-ass political commentators, whatever you want to call them. And I'll stand by and maintain that. Ali Alexander is not to be trusted at all, unless you're a Fed. And then you trust him. Isn't it weird how he testified for 3 hours in front of a grand jury? A grand jury of whom? Weird, bro. I just saw that on Twitter and I was like, man, because today I'm just in a weird mood, right? Because I see all this stuff with the Steven Crowder. Everybody's talking about Steven Crowder, specifically the quartering. Okay, I'll call you out, the quartering. The quartering is an incredibly smart person. You may not know this, right? Because of some of his commentary on social media sucks. And I like him too. So I'm not trying to be mean. But the one thing I don't get about what this whole Crowder thing is how hard he is shilling for Crowder when he actually knows the same thing I talked about in my video last night. There was likely a huge payout, the fee in the contract that everybody is ignoring. Of course, the company is going to ask you to be fined if you can't do episodes, if they're paying you to do episodes. It's kind of a non-starter, right? And you would think, but I think, again, it's kind of like what I talked about, I think it was yesterday, where you have so much hatred for something or a political ideology or a group of people that no matter what, even if what you're saying is not 100% truthful, you still will 100% believe what you're saying because your hatred surpasses the need to actually be honest. Do you know what I mean? And so I feel like that's a lot of what's going on now, where everyone is like, oh, Crowder this. Crowder made an excellent point at the end and saying, listen, we can't hedge all our bets on these conservative big tech companies because, well, they are the same thing. Calling him a con, I wouldn't say that, these big tech companies, whether it's Daily Wire, any Fox or whoever the hell it is, that they're a con. I wouldn't say they're a con because it seems like they made it pass for his entire business. That's what the contract read. So, you know what I mean? And it's just really weird. Someone said the fees were astronomical. Steve, come on now. All right, so I'll explain it real quick for you because they're not that astronomical. Imagine that the fee, because you're talking about deductions that are astronomical, not fee. The fee is the only number that was not disclosed. The fee is what Steven Crowder would get if he signs with that company. Now, you can only surmise that there is no lawyer in their right mind that's going to institute $100,000 deductions to said fee if the deductions wouldn't account for what the fee would be. So based on that, I would have to assume that he would have been getting paid at least $100,000 per episode, right? So 192 episodes is $19.4 million. Because if he doesn't do an episode, they don't want to pay for that episode, right? So my estimation, and this is what I agreed, and keep in mind that Crowder is probably worth, his brand is probably worth around $5 or $6 million based, and then when you advertise, when you put on the advertising benefits of it, because he has a huge customer list, a client list, you guys, that's a lot bigger too. You know what I mean? So my guess is that fee that's not disclosed in that contract is somewhere in the range of 25 to 35 million, right? So that contract probably started out with that, and those are deductions if he doesn't meet his standard of contract. And if it doesn't make sense, do you think about the NFL? When they sign a player, they sign them for 10 years, right? If that player doesn't play anymore after a year, is the NFL still have to pay that? No, they don't. No, they don't, because they have it in their contracts. Like if you miss a game, if you curse, you do whatever, and you get those deductions. It's in every single contract, especially entertainment. Do you think if a movie guy gets $100 million for a movie series and then decides that he's not doing it after 2 episodes or 2 whatever, that he still gets to keep all his money? So that's very standard in the movie theater business, in entertainment. And let's be honest, that's what Steven Crowder is. He's entertainment. It's not to say that the contract wasn't set up to not be, like, Steven Crowder couldn't sign it just because of the social media ones. Like if there's a banning and we lose our advertisers and because they boycott you, then you lose a percentage of your fee. I understand why a company would do that. But I understand why Steven Crowder couldn't sign that contract. And you could be pissed at that argument, but what do you expect? If you're going to be controversial and therefore the company's not going to be able to monetize and get their money back, at least for what they're paying to have you in their employment. And again, it wasn't a licensing agreement. That clearly was not a licensing agreement. That was for them to own Steven Crowder's entire business. That's what it was. Licensing of merch, licensing of email lists and subscribers. That's what it was. It was not a licensing of just his individual show. And anybody who's gone through this would understand that. But because they left out those specific details, and that's why you're not seeing a lot of the big political commentators talking about it. It's not because they're worried about speaking against their employers. It's because they understand and they don't want to roast the king of political commentary. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to go after, they don't want to say like, whoa, Steven Crowder didn't provide all the information. And so now it has this one-sided, like Steven Crowder is now positioned in a very good way where he's fighting against these big tech, conservative groups and all this. When in all reality, that contract was not a licensing contract. That wasn't a contract that said, hey, listen, pay me $10,000 an episode and you can carry my, similar to what I'm assuming his agreement with the Blaze was, right? Because the only way Blaze was making money off of Steven Crowder was the subscriptions going over to Blaze. That's it. Steven Crowder still did his own advertising, his own merch, his own everything from what I'm able to find out. So that was the licensing agreement, right? What that contract that he made a video, yes, that wasn't a licensing agreement. That was a we own your brand agreement. And so my guess is that the fee that is conveniently not in any of those emails and not discussed anywhere and not being discussed by these big social media guys like The Quartering and everybody who are perpetuating that lie, that does bring it all into some sort. It doesn't make it acceptable, but it does explain it. It does explain why the fines were so high. It does explain why, because there's liability. Do you know what I mean? That's what it means. And hopefully, people don't sign. Because Steven Crowder made a good point at the end, because he's like, people should not sign this agreement, which is 100% true. Because that's 100% true. You should not be paying, or you should not be signing agreements like that when you're building something up, unless you're trying to sell and offload and quit and not do it anymore. So, and so Steven Crowder saying that a lot of young people are going out and signing contracts like this. They don't have a big platform like Steven Crowder does, or they're getting compensated for it. And that's another reason why I think the fee wasn't there. My guess is if the fee was low, on the low end, right? And it wasn't what Crowder wanted. Because keep in mind, Crowder owns a business. It's a company that's set up. All of the employees that work there, all the producers, the writers, the researchers, he's got everybody. Go look on LinkedIn. You could find, half of his fucking employees. But go there and you'll see that it's structured as a business, HR and all that stuff. So of course, when whoever this company was, whether it was Daily Wire or somebody else, they are coming in and saying, listen, we will pay for your whole thing. We will do the whole thing, and this is the amount of money we're going to give, but we own it. That's essentially what. And my guess, this is just my guess, and I had some time to sleep on it last night. This is my guess. You want to know what my guess is? The number was too small. The fee was too small. And he probably wasted a lot of time, negotiating just to get this contract, and was like, what the fuck, dude? This contract is not what we've discussed. And they're like, well, this is the most that we can go. And he's like, this isn't even enough. You want me to sell all of my customers? You want all my business to license me? I am no longer Steven Crowder. You want all of that, and you're only giving me this undisclosed fee? No, hell no. And I'm burning this house down on the way out. And he's framing a narrative. And the reason why he didn't name them is because my guess is that if he named said company would have either one, sued him because he didn't say what the fee was, or secondly, they would have put out their own video and been like, listen, this is what he didn't say. We offered him $50 million. You know what I mean? And not to say that that's right, but that is how the business works. Because think about it. It would be like someone paying me millions of dollars, and well, it's I've already said that. Instead of repeating the same thing, it makes it's like an NFL football player getting a 10-year contract and deciding after a year he doesn't want to play anymore. He doesn't get the rest of the money. There are deductions in the contract that say if you don't play year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, you don't get the money for it. It's the same thing as him. If you sign up, if you're an actor and you sign up to do a series and you decide after 1 that you don't like the script and you want to quit, you don't get the rest of your money. There are deductions built into those entertainment contracts that say, listen, if you don't complete the amount of episodes, you don't get paid. Those are not rare. The only thing, and the reason why Steven Crowder likely could not sign it was the last page, the social media, the boycotting and all that, because it's going to happen. He knows he's going to have advertisers boycott it. He knows that he's going to get bans and copyright strikes and all that stuff from social media because that's what happens. He's got the world against him. So for a company to put that claim in there, in the contract, it just basically says, listen, we can't do this because Steven Crowder would have to fundamentally change his show. And he doesn't want to do that. So instead, he decided to, in my belief, and I hate it because I like Steven Crowder and I like what he was trying to do. My guess is that, one, he didn't get enough money. And two, he realized this is a way to just build his own thing. And by fighting against it. It's the same thing with the lawsuits against YouTube and all that stuff. It does. It gets everybody all worked up because it's like talking about CRT all the time, right? Everybody's all up in arms. You hear CRT and everybody thinks. You hear the word equity and it doesn't mean what it did 2 years ago. Nope, now it just means racial shit. And even though that's not what it means, you know what I mean? But now when people hear equity, CRT, equity, blah, 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 those are buzzwords that get, the right-leaning minds just freaking pissed. And it doesn't even matter what the context is or anything else. You just get mad. Hearing about this, hearing the big con, they're going after Steven Crowder, it makes you pissed. It made me pissed. I literally was yelling at him for the first part of the video yesterday. In the second half, I'm like, well, I hope he does do it. And then I had more time to think about it. And I'm like, he's leaving out information. It's the same shit Fox News and CNN and all that does. He's leaving out information. They probably made a play for his entire business, his customer list, his merch, his everything, offered him a big lump sum of money. And it wasn't as much as he wants. Someone said equity is not equality. I know. But that's why people are confusing, because when you hear equity, Fox News just said it too. They're like, we're talking about white equity and black equity and blah. And I'm like, that's not what it is. That's not what they're talking about in schools. They're talking about equity. So lower income people can get the same education as higher education people. And people just see race in everything now. And it's weird because people on the right will accuse people on the left of seeing race in everything when it just seems that everybody is. That's just the new normal. We all just have to fight about nonsense all the time. But it really is. Man, I'm kind of on a roll today, huh? Isn't this? I'm kind of on a roll. I'm just going through everyone. Someone said Daily Wire never seems to put out enough saucy content to be demonetized and censored, and it's a huge conservative company. I'd be shocked if it's not them. Who knows? I mean, again, Steven Crowder, for that contract to work and for him to get all the money that was due to him in that contract, he would have to completely change the way he does his show. He would have to conform. He would have to do everything. That's the only way it would be successful. So of course he can't do that. Of course he can't do that. Unless he had a guarantee. Like if they had a guaranteed 25 mil, and then 25 mil on top of everything else, yeah, then fuck that. You do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But otherwise, he knows he's going to be canceled. And he knows he's not going to be able to go anywhere else. But, you know, God rides a Harley. Man, thank goodness you're back. You said, in your opinion, Steven Crowder just gave you the basic information to get full disclosure. Send him an email. I did send him an email. And he's not going to get full disclosure because then he would have to release how much his company is worth, or at least what someone else believes his company is worth. He's not going to release that information. It doesn't benefit him at all to do it. I think the only way Steven Crowder is going, and I'm not calling him a liar or anything like that. I'm just saying that there was information that was let out that everybody that's actually worked in the industry, everyone that's ever fielded an offer, again, I fielded an offer from one of these very same companies a year and a half ago. And the reason I didn't take it is because I knew I wouldn't be able to have editorial control over my own show. There's no way I was going to do that. And I understand that's why Steven Crowder didn't do it. What he's doing now is a marketing ploy to get more people amped up, to get more press, saying he's going to go out and talk to people. He's going to go talk to media. He's going to avail himself, as he said towards the end. That is more because he's going to launch, and rightfully so, he should. It's what I've been saying for a long time. He should launch an online platform that allows smaller content creators to have a safe space to be able to go and create content. Or in all reality, he shouldn't even do that. He should market with Rumble and find a better, solution for it. Rumble apparently doesn't have Rumble apparently doesn't have enough money to go after Crowder. That's the only thing I can assume. Rumble is a licensing agreement with the slap fest, bullshit, stupid, whatever fake ass sport that's coming out now, where two men or women even slap each other to see who stands longer. So dumb. It's so dumb. You know what used to, like when I was younger, like in a fighter and all that stuff, and you used to slap someone, that was like you were calling them a B word. You know what I mean? That's what it was. You were slapping them because they weren't worth a fist. So I just can't take it seriously. And dude, have you seen? They are full on slapping each other in the face and effing up their whole faces, and it's just stupid. And now Rumble has a contract with it. UFC has a contract with it. I mean, I'm glad Dana White's going to make more money because hopefully his wife sues him and he has to pay her a lot of money. Because remember, he slapped her. She slapped him, though, as well. Like, if you want to make the argument, we're all about women's rights. Now, like, if a woman slaps you, are you allowed to slap her back? No. Because we're not equal. As much as you want it, we're not. There's probably not a woman in the world that can hit as hard as I can. Maybe there is, a big woman. But, that's it. Rumble signed agreements with Viva and Raketa. Sound like they could want Crowder. But yeah, again, you got to understand that nobody is in Steven Crowder's level. Nobody. He made a video yesterday. I don't even know how many views he has. But that video, after an hour, had 158,000 views. Probably by the time I finished it, probably had 500,000. I'm sure it's got 1 million views right now. Nobody has that kind of reach. And he has just as many people that love Steven Crowder. There's so many people that hate him as well because of everything he stands for. So my guess is that he wasn't looking for a licensing agreement or something like that, that he was looking for someone to, essentially fund the show and allow them to do the stuff they're doing. And you're not going to get that through a standard licensing agreement. You're just simply not. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. And that's my guess. That's, and I have no real understanding of his personal thing. I just know I've seen the agreements that have been sent to me in the past couple of years. And that's what they were. They were buyouts of my entire business. They were buyouts of my likeness, of my business. I wasn't able to function or do the same things that I was doing before joining the company because I had to conform to a certain set of standards that I personally just said no. You know what I mean? Mima's Homestead said it has 821,000 views. Good. But do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's the thing that frustrates me the most about it is that you have people that clearly know the business, clearly understand that there's more to this. And you could run with it and say, listen, like a lot of the details about the contracts were not there, and certain things were shared on purpose because that's what gets you. It's like, oh, big tech, conservative big tech is the same as everyone. They want to censor you. No, it's a business. They're running it as a business. And if they weren't, then they wouldn't be making any money. You know what I mean? Trust me. Like if you don't run your business as a business, you won't make money. And then you won't have a business. You won't have a platform. You won't have anything. Because what doesn't stop when you stop making money? You know what doesn't stop? Your bills and your responsibilities. Infrastructure for live streaming is insanely through the roof. You know what I mean? And that's probably, and he did mention the infrastructure costs of doing it himself. You're talking millions and millions of dollars. Now, there's a simple solution. Work with a company, get a big multi-million-dollar licensing deal for them to do it, and you do exclusive content on their shows and all that, and then use that revenue to build your own OTT platform, your own membership platform where you're also doing exclusive shows there. That's how you do it, and you build independence in yourself. But for some reason, it's just they're at this point, they haven't clicked and figured that out yet, and they probably will. They probably will. But I think all conservative talking heads, political commentators, the quartering, I believe all of those people owe it to their viewers to just be honest. And so say, like, you could say, hey, listen, this was a shitty deal, but you can understand the aspect of the business side, but you also got to understand and be forthright with your viewers and say, listen, all the information clearly wasn't provided. So we're getting a one-sided, look at it. You know what I mean? And that's it. The presser starts in approximately 6 minutes, but she's going to be late. I've got it up. It's just not on yet. But I've got it all queued up. I'll hear it and then I'll switch over. But yeah, so now Al Ill on YouTube said, everyone seems to miss the whole concept of these people being business owners. My God, you don't do things for lateral movement. Yeah, and it's the same with Steven Crowder. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell me that deal that he got yesterday was worth less than $25 million. You can't. There's no way. There's no way, because for one, they're not going to be finding him more than his contract is worth. It's just simply not going to happen. It would never be a contract anyone would ever sign. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't, it simply is not that. So my guess is that contract was worth at minimum $25 million a year. My guess closer to more, and there was probably a big lump sum buyout too, because he has such an existing client base right now, a customer base, email list, all that stuff. So no matter what, whoever he signs with is going to gain the thousands, tens of thousands of new customers immediately. The second he says, this is my new home. He could crowdsource right now. He could set up on a website and say, hey, listen, we are building this platform. Memberships are going to be $100 a year. And if you sign up right now, 50% reduction, we should launch in 8 weeks. He could generate all the capital he would need. And you could do it through lawyers and everything, so it's good. Or to set up a company, go through equity crowd raise and do it that way. There's so many different ways for him to do it, because he is on a whole different level compared to anybody else, compared to me, compared to anybody else. He is it. He is, the top dog when it comes to political commentary, especially on the conservative space, more so than Ben Shapiro or everybody else, And I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say it's laziness. I would say he doesn't have the right people in his ear, That's my police, my take on it, And I'll throw it out there, Steven Crowder. Come on, bro. You need someone to negotiate a contract. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll thrash it down. Trust me. I built an online streaming network, and I was so over my fucking head. I was so over my head. And then, luckily I cut it before we started bleeding too much money. But we kept it above for a year without making any money whatsoever. And I cut every single corner you possibly could in terms of doing it. We couldn't buy content for it. We couldn't do any of that because the infrastructure costs on maintaining a live streaming platform completely dwarf. For example, I would have needed 10,000 monthly members to pay what I was paying to break even. on the monthly costs associated with that live streaming platform and licensing other content and paying other shows to be on there. It's just insane. It costs so much money. So, but, someone said, how cool would it be if Steven Crowder took down big tech? He's not going to. Not this way. This isn't going to take down big tech. He's not even going to take down Daily Wire or anything like that, even though everyone's like calling for the ouster of Daily Wire. It's not going to do it. Nothing's going to do anything. China Reyes said, I'm sure Half Asian Bill told him the contract was BS. Well, yeah, of course, the contract is BS. Because unless he just didn't get... I mean, I would be very curious to see the top page of that contract. The very first page, the first paragraph, where they talk about the fee and they talk about what they're buying. Because they're literally buying his entire company. You know what I mean? And my guess is it wasn't enough money. And so he puts it out there as if he's surprised that was the kind of contract that he was offered. That's my guess, which I don't believe is completely true. It's just my opinion. But Mr. Make That Make Sense said he ain't better than me. I don't know what that... what... And I'm talking about in terms of viewership. He is the biggest political commentator out there. And I would say even with terrestrial means too, in television and radio, he is the biggest one, the biggest audience. And if he made the right steps, he would be bigger than Tucker Carlson and all that shit. Someone said, me too, but we ain't ever going to see it. LOL. I don't blame him. I wouldn't want it out there either. Yeah, I know. Sweet Tat said he implied it was a company that flew under the radar, and there are so many companies like that. I'm not sure that would be categorized as the big con. I know, I saw your comment earlier, and I don't disagree. There's no real big companies that have flown under the radar. Do you know what I mean? In terms of that, they offered him a stupid amount of money, but it probably wasn't enough money for him. And then this is his scorched earth approach to crowdfunding his own. I don't know, but. Brian said, I was wondering how the live streaming thing went. You need advertising and subscription too. Yeah, that's it. And even what they have, they're called ad injection software, it's thousands of dollars a month. Thousands of dollars a month. So for example, if you're paying for ad injection into a live stream, into an HLS feed or a M3, U3, whatever feed, and you're putting that ad injection in there, right? So you're spending all the money on the software to be able to do that. And then you're getting paid maybe $3 for every 1,000 people that watch that. So in order for you even to break even on the ad software that you're using to pay to try to make money for the whole streaming platform, you need 10,000, 20,000 live views, live eyes on it every single time. It's crazy. It's crazy. Someone said RSBN. Absolutely not. That's not it. My guess is it was one of the big ones. Obviously, it wasn't Blaze. Because Blaze, lost him in the first place, or they couldn't figure it out, which is a very good choice, personally. But I don't know, man. It's my thing is I'm not trying to harp on him or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is just say, listen, like all the political commentators out there that don't watch my show anyway, but all of the guys that do and that are making videos or talking about this, you owe it to your viewers to be honest with them. And you could say, these contracts are a bane on conservative commentators and political commentators and social media influencers, because they absolutely are. Because, that's what happens is companies come in, they offer you a shit ton of money, and then you go over there, and the only reason they're doing it is to get you off of their platform, to get your subs to go over there. And most of the time, they can lock you in a contract or make it so you can't access your customer base after you realize that they lied to you. That's what happens. It happened to me. Before I started in the political thing, I was in freight and logistics, and the same shit happened, where I was picked up by a company, offered a crap ton of money, took the crap ton of money, and then had to fight for my right to continue doing my show the way I wanted to, and ultimately leaving them and threatening to sue. That's the only way I could do anything, and since then, luckily, that's a skill that an experience that I've never been able to, that most people don't get. So I was able to experience that. So I knew the scenario. You know what I mean? And so it's happened since then where people are like, hey, you have 70,000 subscribers on YouTube. You got 115,000 followers on Facebook. Bring that base over. Come on, let's do this. Here's a big lump sum, blah, 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 blah. And you can still do your show. And I'm like, no, I can't. No, I can't. I already know I can't. I've already been through this. just on a much smaller scale. And that was still an astronomical money. So I can only imagine how much money that, he was offered. My guess, like I said, and I would, like anyone that believes that this isn't true, I would just challenge you to try to prove that fee that's mentioned in the contract, that fee wasn't in the $25 to $30 million range, because I can almost guarantee it was. Because he's not going to go negative in a contract. It's just simply not going to happen. They're not going to find him $100,000 per episode for 192 episodes without him making at least that. You see what I mean? It's just not going to happen. No contract would ever do it. No lawyer would ever sign off on that. You know what I mean? And so so the contract's worth at least that. And then you add the monthly ones. You add another $250,000 for each month. So you're adding $6 million there. And then you got the quarterly ones that are still fined $250,000. So you got another. So that's $8 million on top of the 27, or on top of the 19.4. So you're looking at roughly $27.4 million. Then there's a $1 million fee if you miss your annual subscriptions. So you're talking about a $30 million fee that was neglected to mention there. Because when you include that in the conversation that he's having, changes the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? And so hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, we're still waiting for a press briefing by Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. This one should be mildly entertaining today. Also, you guys see this flag? This is made by Rocky's Woodworking. I've got one of these. I've got a thin blue line and a thin red line flag. That is our next giveaway. One of those flags. You get to choose which one. They are they're big wooden custom-made flags by Rocky's Woodworking. He's a longtime viewer. We're giving one away. I'm doing this different though, so hold on to your horses, okay? Because a lot of people aren't able you're not financially able to do it this way. So there is no purchase necessary to win this flag, and that includes shipping and all that. It's probably worth about $250 including shipping. This is how we're going to do this. 1, you can go over to Locals right down below, become a member. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And boom, you're entered. You have one entry. You can send over here Cash Apps, Venmos, or PayPals. And for every dollar that you send, that's one entry. You can go to Pure Truth Coffee, which is what I prefer, either the Cash Apps or Pure Truth Coffee, and make a purchase. For every dollar you spend, that's an entry. And so that way, nobody could say, oh, you're not doing anything. This is for everybody. And so that's what I'm going to do. And that way, and I'll keep it open for a week. And so if you want a chance to win one of these flags, you can, if you don't want to spend anything, go over to the rationalamericans.locals.com, become a member. It doesn't cost you anything. Boom, that's one entry. If you want to do the Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, you get an entry for every dollar that you send. So if you send $250, hint, hint, then you'll get it. The press conference is going to be beginning here in a second. And then second to that, I got to do my sound and make sure that's set up to the right one. And then if you go to the store, which is what I prefer, and you buy, actually I'll do double. So I'll do double dollars. So for every dollar you spend on Pure Truth Coffee, you get 2 entries. Okay? Because I'm trying to drive as much traffic as we can over there. But this press conference is going to be the biggest shit show we've ever seen. Let me be perfectly clear. I know. Can you imagine we did a drinking game with this shit? Woo-hoo-hoo! We'd all be toasted. We'd be toasted. And by the way, with the flag, you could choose what you want. You could choose which one. You could choose the regular flag that's back there, this regular flag here. You could choose that one. You could choose the thin blue line, or you could choose the thin red line flag. You could choose whichever one you want, and I'll put pictures, and I'll run this contest for a week or so. Because I'll run other contests as well. But Let me be clear. What was the other word she said yesterday so many times? I don't remember what it was, but she said something so many damn times. So many times. It was one particular word. So look at this. Who is this one? Oh, you know what? And I want to give big shout outs to certain people. So like Kaylee P from Oregon. You placed an order today. I take notice when it's a first-time buyer. So I really and repeats as well. But first-time buyers really get me because I love that. So Kaylee, you placed a pretty decent size order. So you have 90 entries already into our flag giveaway. Lee from Alaska, it's gonna kill me on fucking shipping. He won the coffee. He's in Alaska.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It sucks. It's going to cost me so much to ship it there.
Tomorrow, President Biden will travel to areas impacted by the recent extreme weather in California. Stops include the Santa Clara and Santa Cruz counties, where storms have caused severe floods.
That's the word.
And landslides.
She kept saying,
During
we're
these
being
stops,
prudent.
The president will meet with first responders, state and local
That's what she kept
officials,
saying.
and communities impacted.
By the way, I quit soda and vaping, so I'm chewing again.
Efforts and assess what
I quit
additional
soda
federal
and vaping.
support is needed.
Is that nice?
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell will travel with the president, and while in California, the president will be joined by Governor Newsom and other elected officials. The president has been closely monitoring the situation in California over the past several weeks and is being regularly briefed by his Homeland Security team. Throughout this time, he has remained in close touch with the governor and also local officials on the ground. As you all saw, President Biden approved Governor Newsom's request for an expedited major disaster declaration Saturday evening, providing federal support for debris removal, emergency protective measures, and individual assistance to survey whose homes have been damaged or destroyed by the storm. And we have over 500 FEMA and other federal personnel have already deployed to California to support response and recovery operations and are working side by side with the state to ensure all needs are indeed met on the ground. This Sunday, the White House will commemorate what would have been the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Vice
Dude,
President
they're going to
Harris
yell
will
so
travel
much at her. It's going
to
to be
Florida
crazy.
to deliver a major address on the fight for women across America to have access to reproductive care and make their own health care decisions. 50 years after the Supreme Court's 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade, ultra-MAGA Republican officials continue to push at all levels of government for extreme legislation rolling back women's
April, I haven't
fundamental
vaped all
rights,
day.
including
Straight
a
up
national
quitting.
abortion ban.
It's not cold turkey because I'm
At
chewing.
the state level, more than 60
It's
anti-choice bills
it's
have
annoying to hear her right now because you know she's not talking about shit. Once the questions start, we'll come back
extreme proposals
because she's just not
going
talking
as
about
far
anything.
as threatening
But
women with
yeah,
felony
so
charges
and
for
I'll tell you guys again about the giveaway. But
In stark
the best
contrast,
way,
the president and the
double
vice president
entries
committed
to
fighting
win a
extreme
custom
attacks
flag by
on
Rocky's
women,
Woodworkings.
expanding access to
Double
health
entries by making
care
any
and
purchase in puretruthcoffee.com. I'll put the link in
This
the
Sunday, the
chat
president will speak
because
about the
hopefully
fight
a lot of
to
you guys
secure
go and do it.
women's
Yesterday we had a
rights
pretty good day. If we could do that every day for the rest of this month, woo,
She will
game
talk
changer.
about what's at
Game
stake for
changer.
Millions of women across the country, and most importantly, the need for Congress to codify the protections of Roe into law. The president and the vice president and a strong majority of the American people believe that women must be empowered to make decisions about their own lives and health care, and that those decisions should not be politicized or second-guessed by politicians. Unfortunately,
Isn't
that
that
is
what you're
exactly
doing now?
what Republican officials are doing.
That's
in
what she's
Congress.
doing right now
Despite
too.
the outcome of the midterm elections, in which millions of Americans went to the polls just across the country to protect women's constitutional rights and
what an
reject
awful
extreme
human being.
proposal to sell out the middle class. We have seen House Republicans abuse their narrow majority to take aim at the very issues the American people care about the most.
Priority isn't
In
bad
addition
to
attacking
Arizona.
women's health
Gotcha.
care, we've
Or to
already
Alaska.
seen House Republicans
Oh,
try
check it
and
out.
undercut the progress President Biden has made rebuilding the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. Today, we got our news of even more progress tackling inflation, bringing costs down for Americans. Both producer and consumer inflation has now fallen for about 6 months straight. And consumer spending remains strong, with retail sales in December about flat when adjusted for inflation. That adds up to historic progress. President Biden inherited an economic crisis and turned it into the strongest 2 years of job growth on record. The United States just hit the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years because of his economic plan. Again, his economic plan for the American people is indeed working.
You haven't seen grounds
But as
in a
President
bit,
is
Bill.
fighting, as he is fighting to bring costs down more and ensure that middle-class families get a fair shake, House Republicans are advancing an economic plan that will take tax cuts for the rich, higher prices, and cutting cutting Social Security and cutting Medicare as well. Their very first vote of the new Congress was a bill to worsen inflation and tax welfare for the rich. They want to
Who needs a
impose
ban
an
hammer?
unprecedented tax increase on
We
middle
don't.
class
We can have
families
differences
in
of
the form
opinions.
the
Guys, just act like
23%
adults in the
sales
chat,
tax
okay?
In order to provide even more tax giveaways to the super rich and big corporations. They're going to vote to raise gas prices and deprive Americans of relief at the pump. And they're threatening to kill millions of jobs and 401k plans by trying to hold the debt limit hostage unless they can,
Because they don't want to spend more money.
cut Medicare, cut Medicaid. So on
Just
this
in case,
last point,
just in case you guys didn't hear before they get into the shit show, the White House is poised to announce the biggest ever weapons package to Ukraine in the next
working
2 or 3
Americans
days.
pay the price
Yeah.
for their schemes
Bigger
to
than
benefit
anyone
the
previously.
wealthiest
And
Americans
they've given
in
billions. Yeah.
With that, I say this all
Insane.
the time, Josh. I haven't seen you in a long time. And you always tell me you've been here. Okay, hi, good to see you, Josh. Kick us off, please.
Given everything you just laid out with regard to House Republicans, what has the White House seen or heard from House Republicans that gives you confidence that we can avoid a default?
Look, we've been very, very clear, and I'll say this again. Let me first say this part, that after the midterm elections, the president was very clear. After we saw a historic when it comes to a Democratic president in 60 years being able to have a successful midterm. When you look at what we saw in the Senate and we look at the red wave that never happened, the president said, the American people spoke very loudly and very clearly. They want to see us work in a bipartisan way. So the president wants to do that. He's looking to do that. But also, when you think about the debt limit, it is, we've been very clear. The debt limit has been something that has happened 3 times. If you look at just the last administration in a bipartisan way, it is something that should be done without conditions. We should not be negotiating around it. It is the duty, the basic duty of Congress to get that done. And so we're just not going to negotiate about that, because again, it was done under the last president. It was done 3 times, again, in a bipartisan way. There is no alternative to Congress' responsibility here to address the debt ceiling. Treasury makes millions of payments each day. Their system is built to pay our country's bills on time. It's not set to make the United States delinquent by paying our bills. There is a reason that Treasury secretaries of both parties, if you think about it, and if you all remember, rejected this incredible, risky, and dangerous idea that has never been tried before. So it is essential for Congress to recognize that dealing with the debt ceiling is their constitutional responsibility. This is an easy one. This is something that should be happening without conditions.
Just to make sure I understand, do you think House Republicans in this Congress see their responsibilities the way that you just outlined?
They should. I just laid out why they should feel the responsibility.
I'm gonna
And I
eat a
talked
bag
about
of
this
Doritos.
yesterday. I quoted
Yeah.
the Chamber of Commerce said it would have catastrophic economic consequences. A former economist to Republican Senators Rob Portman,
If I can get out of my
Marco
chair.
Rubio, Mitt Romney called it a really bad idea and disaster. And in 2011, then Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner called it unworkable and harmful. It is, the precedent has been for both parties to come together and to get this done. We are talking about the full faith and credit of our country.
And then secondly, real fast, help us understand, given the frequency with which President Biden works in Delaware, what is the case against having visitor logs for his house?
So I am going to refer you to the White House counsel. They actually addressed this. They answered this question that you are asking me, I believe, on Sunday, and I also believe the Secret Service put out a statement, so I would refer you to those two statements that came out from the White House. I'm actually going to go around. I got a lovely letter from Tamara Keith, your president of the White House Correspondents Association, and she asked that I go around, so I'm going to do that. Go ahead, Courtney.
Thanks, Karine. I wanted to ask about the FAA issue last week with the ground stop that was called at airports across the country. When is the president expecting to receive an after-action report?
So as DOT said, the issue was a damaged database file with no evidence of a cyber attack. So I want to be very clear about
I want
this.
a
And
copy of that letter.
You heard Secretary Buttigieg say that there is going to be an after action report. I don't have a timeline for you to share from here. I would refer you to the Department of Transportation, but this is something that we obviously take very seriously when it comes to the safety of Americans. That is something who are flying, something that we make a priority. When the timeline of the action report, I would refer you to the Department of Transportation.
Also, this year Congress will have to reauthorize funding for the FAA. Is there anything that the president wants to see specifically in that bill?
What in the shit?
That pertains to what happened last week?
Again, that's something, as I mentioned last week, that happens every 5 years. This is the time that we're going to see Congress act on this. Don't have anything to share on specifics. Again, as you know, this is something, as I just mentioned, when it comes to the safety of American people, this is something that is a priority for us. We want to get to the bottom of what occurred.
A Catholic priest in his rectory early Sunday morning was literally burned to death. Bandits burned the rectory, and today, as a matter of fact, Pope Francis asked the world to pray for Father Isaac Achi. Question one, two questions here. One, will the Biden administration forcefully condemn acts of violence against Christians in Nigeria?
So let me just say we are saddened by the senseless killing. We have seen the reports, and we certainly are saddened by that. We are monitoring the situation as information develops. And so we hope the Nigerian authorities will quickly bring the perpetrators to justice. And of course, we condemn violence of any kind. And so that is something that you've heard me say many times from this podium, and that is something that we will continue to condemn.
Follow up on that. How many more Nigerian priests have to be so brutally murdered before Nigeria is placed back on the countries of particular concern list, the State Department's list?
That is something I would refer you to the State Department about, that particular list.
Yes.
Thank you. On this question that was the debt limit, which was a lot of the talk in here the last couple of days, is there any way that the president would be willing, if the president meets with congressional leadership on other matters between now and when Secretary Yellen says we'll reach the default point, will he entertain discussions at all during meetings that may be on some unrelated topic with members of Congress about debt limit negotiations, or will he just sort of say, no, we're not going to do this, we'll discuss the topic at hand, but we won't talk about negotiating over the debt limit?
So let me be clear, I don't have a meeting with leaders to read out at this time or to announce, but we've been really clear, we will not, there will not be any negotiations over the debt ceiling. We will not do that. It is their constitutional duty you think about how Congress has dealt with the debt ceiling for the past several decades, it is their responsibility, their constitutional responsibility to act. And so, but more broadly speaking, at the start of this new Congress, I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again, we're reaching out to all members from both sides of the aisle so they make sure that they know who to reach out to when it comes to the Office of Legislative Affairs so that we continue to build those relationships. Again, in the past, there has been bipartisan cooperation to address the debt ceiling, and that's how it should be. It should not be used as a political football. That is not how we should be moving forward here. Our outreach is deliberate to ensure Congress knows that the debt ceiling must be addressed, again, without conditions. But always, I'm not going to read out any specific meetings or I don't have anything else to read out about the president meeting with leadership.
Can I just follow up on something that Courtney just asked, actually? Senator Schumer says that the FAA administrator nomination is going to be a priority in the coming weeks. Are there, and I understand that's a priority for the president as well, do you have any other priority nominations that you would like Senator Schumer and the Senate Democrats to take up first?
So let me just say we certainly welcome and appreciate Senator Schumer's supportive comments this weekend, as you just mentioned, and look forward to working together to confirm Phil Washington specifically as FAA administrator. Let me just add that FAA, as I just said to Courtney, is a key agency with crucial safety mandate, and the president has nominated an experienced, qualified candidate who currently runs one of the busiest airports in the world to lead the agency. And so we will continue to work with Senator Schumer, Senator Cantwell, and others to seek the swift confirmation. So clearly that is important to us. Look, we're going to continue to, as I talk about the swift confirmation, not just of the FAA administrator, but many other crucial, high qualified nominees to serve.
I'm kind of surprised they're not talking too much about the classified paperwork.
Renominating a number of officials in the upcoming.
Granted, she is asking reporters in the back.
We certainly will share that. Okay, go ahead, Tia. Go ahead, Tia.
You mentioned Vice President Harris is going to speak up on the anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Is the administration going to announce any initiatives or policies for protecting abortion access, particularly to women who get their pills by mail?
So let me just say the administration has taken actions with our limited authorities to expand access to care. The president has issued 2 executive orders. You've heard myself talk about it. Jen Klein from the Gender Policy Council has been here to talk about the executive orders that the president has put forward. It is to safeguard access to abortion and contraception, ensure that everyone has access to health care free from discrimination, defend the right to travel across state lines for medical care, protect the physical safety and security of clinics, providers, and patients, and also earlier this month.
Hey, did you know that while she's lying to you, you could be doing something more important, all right? You see this flag back here? Okay, it's pretty awesome, right? It's made by Rocky's Woodworking. They're out of, I believe, Rhode Island. He's a viewer of the show, longtime supporter of the show, and he sent me a bunch of flags to sell, and I decided that instead of selling them, I want to give one away. So we have either the regular American flag, a thin blue line flag, or a thin red line flag that we are going to give away. If you want a chance to win it, all you got to do is become a member down on Locals. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You just got to become a member on Locals. That's a link. That'll get you one entry in to win. Send a Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal for any amount, and you get, for every $1 you send, you get an entry. So if you send $5, that's 5 entries. $250 is 250 entries. Or what you could do is get double entries off of any purchase on puretruthcoffee.com. Go over there. The link is in your chat. So you order a Patriotic SF bundle. It's like $125. You get double entries. So that's 250 entries to do the flag. We're going to do the giveaway in about a week. So make sure you do it now.
have more data to go off of. Additionally, the first individuals authorized to live and work legally in the United States under the expanded program started arriving just last Tuesday, within 5 days after the launch of the program. Hundreds more have been vetted and approved for travel and can book a flight to the United States to arrive on time. But I want to be very clear. Again, we need Congress to take action. The president has done what he can, from the executive, from the White House, but what we're seeing is Congress still refuses to act. The president is going to use every tools available, as you have seen him do these past 2 years, to manage a mass migration event impacting the entire Western Hemisphere, but not only just one city, right? We've seen it just across the board. So he's taking the steps. He's going to continue to take this very seriously when we think about the border security. But again, Congress needs to act. Republicans need to act. And if they really care about this issue, this is an opportunity to reach across the aisle and work with us on this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karine.
Yes.
I want to reference an interview that President Biden did in mid-September with 60 Minutes. And in that interview, he chided former President Trump for having in his possession classified documents. He called it irresponsible. First of all, do you think it was proper for President Biden to comment on an ongoing DOJ investigation?
So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep it really short today, as it relates to this particular issue, as it relates to an ongoing legal matter. I'm going to refer you to Department of Justice.
She's smiling because she knows
that
she's
specific
fucking
as it relates
stupid.
to anything that you want to ask of us about this legal matter. I would refer you to the White House Counsel office. I'm going to leave it there. Not going to go into further.
I'm simply asking you to comment
I just commented. We're moving on. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I already answered your question. Go ahead.
You really didn't.
Well, I did.
No, you didn't.
Well, it's your opinion. It's your opinion. It's your opinion. That is your opinion. Go ahead.
I have two domestic questions today.
Sure.
First of all, can you just walk us through the administration's rationale for wanting South Carolina to be the first primary state, and your reaction to the unhappiness we've seen from Democrats in New Hampshire?
Look, we have addressed this. The Democratic National Committee has addressed this. I'm just not going to go any further to what we've already shared about this. So I'm just going to leave it to the statements that we put out just a couple of weeks ago on the process. I'm just not going to dive into the process from here.
Okay, then let me ask about the document issue again. So I have to take another stab at it. But we don't know what's in these documents, but can the U.S. and is the U.S. working to reassure allies and partners that you can still participate in intelligence gathering and still be trusted with secrets? Are those conversations that the president is having right now, or that top of the administration officials are having, for example, Jake Sullivan in Israel?
I'm going to say this. The president takes classified information seriously. You heard that directly from him. To classified documents.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Seriously, you heard that directly from him last week.
But he doesn't, and we all know that.
And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to open this up for discussion. We have answered many questions when it is, as it is related to the documents. Any specifics that's related to this this review, this legal process, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. And any questions that you may have of us, I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel's office. So I'll leave it there. Okay. Go ahead, Joey. Go ahead.
The president is scheduled to meet on Friday with a group of mayors. Can you just give us a preview of that meeting? How many mayors? What's on the agenda? What's the president's message? What does he hope to accomplish with this?
So as you know, he's going to, as you just mentioned, he's going to meet with mayors, bipartisan mayors who are attending the U.S. Conference of Mayors. This is something that the president certainly is looking forward to attending and to interact with the mayors who will be here. Don't have any more specifics as the list. Certainly, as we get closer, we will be sharing a list with all of you and more information about the remarks that he will be giving. But again, it's going to be bipartisan mayors, an opportunity, as the president has said, and he has said during his Senate years as a vice president and as during the campaign and now as president, he looks forward to working in a bipartisan way and continuing to deliver for the American people. And that's what you'll probably hear from him on Friday. But don't want to get beyond that. Haryana, way in the back. I'm going to go way in the back.
It's been over a month since the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit take place, and I would like you to give us an update what have been done so far in order to accomplish all the agreements and projects that have been agreed upon during the summit.
No, it's a very good question. Look, President Biden was very pleased with the summit and its outcome, including his personal engagement with many of his counterparts that week. The summit was an effective demonstration of our renewed partnership with the region's governments, business community, and civil society, as well as the broader African diaspora. The president and the African leaders worked together to define a shared global agenda and to set the stage for deeper cooperation and engagement in 2023 and beyond. So it was just the beginning, and we're truly looking to continue those conversations, clearly on the staff level, as we continue throughout the year.
One quick question on the classified documents. How the president is feeling? Is he worried about those documents that were found, or did he somehow regret to what he had done with those documents being found at his property? Is he worried about that?
First, I'm going to repeat what I just said moments ago. He takes this very seriously when it comes to classified documents, when it comes to classified information. He was unaware.
That was a good question. Does he regret?
The documents were there. You heard that directly from him, from the president, twice. He spoke to this just last week. And his team is fully cooperating with this process, with this ongoing legal process. Anything specific dealing with this issue, I would refer to the Department of Justice or the special counsel, and I'll leave it there. Okay, I'll come down. Mayor.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The White House today put out this really sharply worded statement about the committee assignments, the oversight committee assignments. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Representative Gosar, Representative Boebert getting these assignments on the oversight committee. The statement said, handing the keys of oversight to the most extreme MAGA members in the Republican caucus who promote violent rhetoric and dangerous conspiracy theories. Given this statement, does the White House view the oversight committee as even legitimate?
So look, I've been very clear, and I just said this moments ago. The president intends to work with both parties in good faith, if they choose to, and make more progress on behalf of the American people. He has said this. We will continue to say this. But unfortunately, to your point, Mary, on some of these key committees, it appears that House Republicans have handed over the keys to the most extreme MAGA members of the Republican caucus. This is what we're seeing from the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue. These are members who have promoted violent rhetoric and dangerous conspiracy theories, including suggesting violence against political opponents, trafficking in anti-Semitic lies, and defending and downplaying a violent insurrection against our democracy. Many of you covered what we saw on January 6, 2021. And so Republican leaders should explain. They should have to explain, not us. They should have to explain why allowing these individuals to serve on these committees and come clean with the American people about the secret agreements, the secret deals that were made with these extreme MAGA extremists that are currently in the House. And so that is something for them to respond to. That question goes to them.
Sounds like you don't view the committee as very.
I did not say that. I laid out what the president intends to do. I laid out what unfortunately, what the actions that they have taken, how unfortunate it is to basically hand over the keys to some of the most extreme people in the Republican Party, the MAGA, ultra MAGA Republicans, and what they've done. But it is not for me to answer that question. It is for them to answer why is it that they chose to move in that direction.
And can I just follow up what you just said earlier about the president being surprised the documents were even there? That he said multiple times, you've said again, he was unaware that these classified documents were even in his garage, in his residence. Given that that you could actually just be surprised that documents were there. Does that suggest to you, to this White House, that reform is needed? There needs to be changes for how classified documents are tracked through the U.S. government.
I'm not in a position to talk about reform or how this process should go forward. What I will say is this is something that's being reviewed by the Department of Justice. I would refer you to them. I would refer you to the special counsel. I'm just not going to go any further than that. Okay. Go ahead. Ariel.
Thank you so much. I would have two questions. One is Ukraine, one on the economy. On Ukraine, the Wall Street Journal and the German newspapers, the Deutsche Zeitung, are now reporting that the Germans won't provide tanks for Ukraine unless the U.S. does exactly the same. So this seems to be a kind of deadlock situation here. What's the administration doing about it?
So I was asked this question yesterday. When it comes to the U.S., we're in constant communication with Ukraine, and we'll continue to provide them with what they need as they defend themselves against Russian aggression and against this brutal war that we have seen from Russia for almost a year now. But I don't have any new announcements to share of any types of security assistance to preview. Look, when it comes to other countries, the president believes that each country should make their own sovereign decisions on what steps of security assistance and what kinds of equipment they are able to provide Ukraine, as again, Ukraine defends itself against Russian aggression. So, for instance, we welcome Germany's recent announcement that they will send infantry fighting vehicles and a Patriot missiles battery system to Ukraine. We also support the decision by the UK over the weekend to send Challenger tanks to Ukraine. And we have seen incredible solidarity by nations around the world to support Ukraine. But it's not for us to speak to. That is each country's decision to make their own sovereign decisions on this. As it relates to the U.S., we have been, as you know, the largest provider of security assistance, of humanitarian aid. We will be standing by with the Ukrainian people and helping them in any way that we can to defend themselves until throughout this process. But I don't have any announcements to make at this time.
Economy, the president has been quite optimistic in his latest statements about the possibility of a soft landing for the economy, but at the same time we also have massive layoff announcements like Microsoft just today. Is this a matter of concern for the White House?
So that is something, as you know, that we watch closely anytime there are reports of Americans losing their jobs. President Biden knows firsthand the impact of losing a job and what that can have to your entire family. This is something that he knows and understands very well. I don't have a comment on specific moves announced by particular companies. As you know, we are very careful from here talking about private companies, but more broadly speaking, layoffs remain near record lows according to job openings data. We found out this week that 10 million new small businesses have been created since President Biden took office. I talked about this from this podium just yesterday. And similarly, third quarter GDP revision shows that the U.S. economy continues to grow and add jobs. We've also seen companies like TSMC, IBM, and Hyundai announce new investments doubling down on building technologies of the future like chips and AI and electric vehicles in the U.S. Companies across the economy are continuing to grow and invest in the United States. But again, of course, this is something that we watch very closely. Okay, go ahead, Sabrina.
Thank you so much.
And welcome back.
Thank you. China reported that its economic growth fell to 3% last year and its population dropped for the first time since 1961. Is the administration concerned about China's relative economic weakness, and do you think that this raises the likelihood of an economic downturn in the U.S. and the global economy this year?
So look, I'm not going to comment on how China handles its own economy, but what we are focused on is our approach, which has to ensure that the United States economy remains resilient. And that's the president's focus. And when we're talking about resilience, we're talking about resilience in the face of global challenges and has helped spur a historic recovery. That is what we have seen in this president's first 2 years in the of his administration, we'll continue our work to make progress on reducing prices and investing in our infrastructure, manufacturing, and clean energy economy. And so we, of course, monitor all global developments and will continue to stay in touch with our partners, allies, and key market sectors, including China. As you have seen, Secretary Yellen is in China, and she's going to be meeting with China's Vice President on Wednesday, which is today. And so, again, she's there currently right now in China.
And there have been more allegations about Congressman George Santos's misuse of finances. Of course, this is in addition to him fabricating key details of his background while running for office, prompting more calls from both
George
parties for his
Santos is a
resignation.
dirty
Just wanted
motherfucker,
to check
bro.
back in. Does the White House
I'm going
think
to
he
talk
should
about
resign?
that in a minute.
So look, we've said this before, and I think I said it
He's a dirty
probably
dude.
the first few
George
days
Santos.
of this new Congress and this new year, which is it is up to the Republican conference who have to decide what they owe the American people. It is their decision to make on what it means, what they see as it relates to the terms of standards and service. They have to decide that. It is their conference. He is part of their conference, clearly. But sadly, we have seen that they feel they owe the American people when it comes to standards by the actions that they have taken on this particular individual. Look, just looking at the committee that he has been assigned to when it comes to Biden's economic plan, and when it comes to the announcement that I made yesterday, when it comes to small business, we have seen a business application with over 10 million new small businesses created under this leadership. And so the president takes that very seriously. He takes making sure that we're building an economy from the bottom up, the middle out, very seriously. And you see that in every part of his policies and every economic policy that he pushes forward. But again, this is up to the Republican conference to show what they think they owe the American people. So it's their decision to make. Okay.
Thank you, Karine. Just a quick follow-up on the economy and job cuts. Amazon announced 18,000 job cuts today. Microsoft announced 10,000 job cuts today. All these thousands of job cuts are coming on top of tens of thousands of jobs being cut across the tech sector and across sectors in corporate America. Obviously, the White House and the administration, like you just pointed out a couple of minutes ago, still believes the economy is resilient, does not expect it to slip into a recession. But as we talk about mass layoffs and as the White House continues to point a strong economy and overall recovery in the labor market, how do you expect some of these numbers and some of these statistics to impact that recovery in the coming months?
So let me just be clear, when you talk about recession and you talk about what we're seeing currently with the economy, these are the data points, right? The data points are showing that this is not what we see, what the economy is currently, to a pre-recession or a recession. I mean, that is what the experts are saying as well, and that's what the data points are proving. With CPI today, the PPI today, we're seeing that inflation is actually indeed moderating. And a lot of that is connected to the president's economic policies. And so that is something that we're going to continue to highlight. We're going to continue to point to the data, not just our words, but that's what the data is showing. Look, again, as I mentioned to your colleague, I'm not going to comment specifically on what's currently happening with particular companies, with private companies. Clearly, we're closely monitoring. But like I said, the layoffs remain near record lows according to the job openings data. Again, looking at the data, looking at the numbers. We found out, again, I talked about the small businesses, 10 million new small businesses have been created since the president took office. That matters. Those data points also matter. The third quarter GDP revision shows that the U.S. economy continues to grow and add jobs. So that's what I will point you to in answering your question as I just laid out. But again, we are seeing we're seeing the president's economic policy actually working, and I think that's important as well. Is there more work to do? Always more work to do, and you hear that from us as well.
So no immediate concern from these tens of thousands of
What I'm saying is we're going to
across
closely monitor this. We are always keeping an eye on these things, but these are private companies that are making decisions, and we're just not going to comment.
And a quick
one on China, if I may. You were talking about Secretary Yellen. Treasury announced today that she's planning to go to China. Secretary of State is planning to go to China. The president met with Xi in Bali.
All right, as they're talking about China, let's talk real quick about George Santos. So George Santos is a GOP congressman now that was elected to the Congress. He just got his assignments and stuff, but he's come under major scrutiny by both the left and the right because he is a complete and utter fraud. Apparently, new allegations, which are the ones that set me off yesterday, came out that he apparently ran a charity for dogs and veterans, dogs and veterans, I believe, and he apparently defrauded a veteran out of $3,000 for his service animal to have surgery to remove a tumor. He apparently fled with said money, and the dog died. And the homeless guy was, he used the dog for PTSD, treatment. It was a service dog. And he's not even commenting. And this was verified by a police officer. Like, this guy, George Santos, is weird. He goes by the name Catonia, right? When he dresses in drag in Brazil. This is real, and this guy is masquerading as a conservative. He lied about his real estate. He beats politicians up, everything. Someone said, "Where's your neck?" I have a beard. Why are you saying, "Where's my neck?" God, man. Like, I don't know how he's in office. I don't know how he got a committee assignment. Yes, I do, because he voted for Kevin McCarthy. That's how he got a committee assignment. Disgusting, though. It's disgusting. Everybody should be in strong agreement that he needs to be gone and locked up in jail. If that's the best thing that happens to him, you know what I'm saying?
That is why this.
He also said his mom died first in 9/11. Then he said she was in the South Tower in 9/11. And then it turns out she wasn't even there in New York at all on 9/11. The guy is a pathological liar.
Glad that.
And he's a congressman. And it's all been debunked.
I asked you last Friday, and I know that there was a formal request from the WHCA.
Someone said, in fairness, you don't have much neck. Yeah, because I got
Richard
most.
Felber come to the briefing and take questions. To follow up on that, would you commit to having the White House counsel come here and take questions?
That is something that I would refer you to the White House counsel's office. They have been engaged with all of you. I know, again, they did a 45-minute call.
Which they didn't answer any questions.
Your colleagues.
They did the same thing. They're like, we would direct you to ask the DOJ.
It was actually 45 minutes.
We would ask you to ask the White House.
So
like, that's what they kept doing during that call, too.
With all of
Fox
you.
News played
and
it.
So, again, I would refer you to the White House counsel's office on this, and any specifics to the ongoing legal matter, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Did you pass along the request?
I'm happy to pass it along.
Thank you, Karine. I have two
questions, one on NATO, one on Belarus. There's an impasse between Sweden, Finland, and Turkey over Ankara's demands related to Sweden's and Finland's NATO accession. So I'm wondering if you consider those demands reasonable, and if not, does the president consider Turkey a reliable NATO ally? And the second question on Belarus, a trial of a prominent Polish Belarusian activist, Andrzej Poczobut, has started in Belarus yesterday, and he's facing 12 years in prison for just criticizing Lukashenko's regime. Can you comment on that, and is there anything that the U.S. can do to help to press Belarus on this?
So let me just say that we do see Turkey as a reliable ally. So I'll answer that question that you just asked me. On anything specific about the agreement and what's currently happening, we would refer you to the Turkish government to speak on their own position.
They won't
That's not
answer
something that I will
anything.
do for them.
It's
I would
just-
not
they're
speak
just
for
not
them here.
capable of
What I can
answering
say
any
is that we have been a strong supporter of Finland and Sweden's applications for NATO membership and worked with the Senate to move quickly to ratify their applications. You saw, you all were here and saw Finland and Sweden's leadership here with the president not too long ago. We have welcomed the rapid ratifications by our allies, and we urge all remaining allies to complete their own ratification process as quickly as possible. To your question about Belarus, so we condemn the regime's blatant attempts to intimidate and harass peaceful protesters, members of the democratic oppositions, journalists, unionists, activists, human rights defenders, and ordinary Belarusians. These politically motivated trials are just the latest examples of the regime's effort to intimidate and repress those who seek justice, respect for human rights, and democratic Belarus. And a democratic Belarus, I should say. To respond to these human rights abuses, the State Department recently took action to impose visa restrictions on 25 individuals for their involvement in undermining Belarus's democracy. The U.S., the United States,
I don't know why she colors her
Belarusian
eyelids
people
like
and
that.
their
Super
democratic
annoying. I hate it.
aspirations. I'm going to keep going.
Thank you, Karine. To be clear, my question's about procedures here at the White House and not about anything specific related to the DOJ investigation. So I'm just wondering how this episode has prompted a review of the process in which staffers handle classified information and how they are turned over to National Archives during a transition.
And to be clear, I'm going to refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel's Office. They will be able to address that particular questions. I'm just not going to address something that is even related to an ongoing legal process.
I mean, I'm having a hard time understanding why.
I just said
why hold the fucking press conference?
And I just said to you, the White House Counsel's Office will be able to address that question.
Is President Biden satisfied with the current SOP of handling classified materials here and turning them over to National
She got
Archives?
shut up.
Again,
That's what
I will
happened.
refer you to the White House Counsel's Office.
One of these reporters
they are the
need to
people
say,
would,
who told
be
you to
able
say
answer
this?
that question about
Like straight up.
information.
To be clear, from this point on, are you not going to be taking questions about the classified documents?
I have been very clear over and over again. We are going to be prudent here. We're going to be consistent. This particular matter is being looked at. There's a legal process currently happening at the Department of Justice, and I'm going to refer you to the Department of Justice on any specifics to this particular case and anything that has to deal with what we're doing here. I would refer you to the White House Counsel's Office. And let me remind you, this is not a new process here. We've been doing this for the past 2 years. Anything that is related to a legal process, a legal matter, we refer it to the Department of Justice. There's nothing new in our process here.
Thank you, Karine. Since so many of our questions have been referred to the DOJ and to the White House Counsel's Office, I'm sure you can understand that we're in sort of information blackout where DOJ refers us to the special counsel. They're not holding any briefings. White House Counsel refers us to DOJ. So if you are not able to talk about this from the podium, would you invite a DOJ official to take our questions here to the briefing?
No, you would have to go to the Department of Justice. That is not, this is a legal matter that is currently happening at the Department of Justice. And the president has been very, very clear when it
Stop
comes
saying
to
the
these types of
fucking
legal matters,
mumbling
when it comes to
bozo has been
investigations.
clear,
He's
'cause
not
he
going
isn't.
to interfere.
And he's
He
never
wants to
been
make
clear.
sure that we
Never!
bring back the independence that the Department of Justice should have when it comes to these types of investigations. So certainly would not be bringing them here. So I would refer you to the Department of Justice. I was just very clear. If you have any questions, I would refer you to the White House Counsel's Office. They did a call for 45 minutes yesterday, speaking to many of you. I believe there were more than 200 people on that call. And so I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel.
How many got to ask questions? Karine Jean-Pierre.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but on questions that you should be able to answer here that shouldn't have to go to any other agency or entity, can you tell us if there's any sort of assessment that has been planned or launched to determine if national security has been jeopardized at all?
Again, that's for the Department of Justice.
Why is it a DOJ question?
And let's be clear, it's not your decision to make on what I can or can't answer from here. What I'm telling you is that we are respecting the process. We are being prudent from here. There is an investigation currently happening.
Ask the question.
And when there are investigations that are happening, that the DOJ
I want to be in that room so bad.
Reviewing or
Whose
looking
decision
at,
is it?
we have been
You can't
very
handle the
consistent to
truth.
say that you need to go to the Department of
Are they
Justice.
working with NSC or with any other intelligence
Again,
agency?
I would
don't
refer you.
understand why.
It's It's very clear. I just laid out. There should be no
She's going to
confusion
resign.
here.
I guarantee
There
in
is
a
legal
couple of days,
process
she is
happening,
done.
And I would refer you to the
I
Department
think
of
she
Justice.
got yelled at
Okay,
pretty
go ahead,
bad
Peter.
last night.
Follow up on that. We've all reached out to the Department of Justice. A law enforcement official tells NBC News the Justice Department has not told the White House that it cannot talk about the facts underlying the special counsel investigation into classified documents. So trusting you've received that same information, understanding the desire to be prudent, then why can't you speak about the underlying facts?
We've been very clear when it comes to even underlying facts, when it comes to specifics, when it comes to something that is under the purview that the Department of Justice is looking at, especially legal matters, investigations. We do not comment from here, Peter. That has been consistent.
So
We've been
that
very consistent.
Bob Bauer, who represents the president's personal attorney over the weekend, said that one of the reasons why, and Ian Sams, your colleague who speaks on behalf of the special counsel at the White House, spoke to this in some form yesterday, but he said one of the reasons why they shouldn't reveal further details right now was regular ongoing public disclosures also pose the risk that as further information develops, answers provided on this periodic basis may be incomplete. When the White House did release a statement, the president spoke out on January 9th. The risk of incompletion was a function of the White House's decision not to share all the information it knew, in fact, because we knew on November 2nd, and the first discovery was made. We knew the second discovery was made on December 20th. So there's a risk of incompletion, but will you concede that it's the White House that has been incomplete in its provision of information when it did choose to speak out publicly on January 9th?
My colleague
they lied.
actually
That's what
dealt
that
with this
means.
question on the call yesterday on the White House
He made
counsel's
the
office.
same point
As you,
about the risk of incompletion.
and I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
Then is the White House having any conversations internally about finding someone, much the same way John Kirby has spoken on behalf of national security issues at this podium as your colleague, as their representative? Is the White House in talks right now to find someone either outside the White House or internally who can speak on behalf of the White House representing the special counsel office within the White House from this podium? Or any of those talks?
I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
Well, but you're the communications, you run the communications, so I'm asking about you as a communications matter playing any part of those conversations existing.
Peter, you have spoken to my colleague who did, again, a 45-minute call with all of you answering questions about...
If you would acknowledge it's on background, that Karine, not on the record until the call ends, that means the American people can't see it in public. So we're asking, will there be a representative who would speak on camera and see it in public?
But the call was indeed, he was quoted, it was in papers, it was on networks.
Correct, but because they can't witness it happening live, Americans don't get the same transparency into this back and forth.
That's NBC News. He is roasting her.
This is just with respect. You guys brought John Kirby in. I'm asking if that conversation exists.
The fact that he spoke to all of you reporters who report on this, and then you all reported on it back to the American people, I believe that is transparency. I believe that he shared information, he answered your questions that you believe that the American people wanted to hear, and he answered those questions.
So
and he took 45 minutes to do that. Anything else that you have on this, Peter, I would refer to the White House counsel. Peter, I'm not. We just went back.
So the question is, are you having a conversation about adding a member to the staff to speak publicly on this?
Peter, I actually just answered that question. I said we have someone currently.
So that means no.
We have someone currently who answered your questions for 45 minutes on a call and took your questions.
Yes.
Took your questions about this particular issue.
Correct.
He will continue to do that. He will continue to engage with all of you, right, on this issue, on this legal process that's currently happening from the White House counsel's office. After that, Peter, I don't have anything else to share.
I think that's Peter Alexander.
Go ahead. Last question.
On the
last question.
Debt limit. I know that the White House says that you're not going to negotiate with Republicans on sort of, concessions or anything tied to it. Does that mean that the White House, the president, is dissuading other Democrats on the Hill from engaging in those conversations and those negotiations with Republicans?
What we've been very clear about is that in the last administration, the debt ceiling was dealt with 3 times in a bipartisan way. And so that's what the president wants to see. That is a
look at his stupid ass fucking comment right there. Excuse my
constitutional
language.
duty for Congress to deal with this issue.
I'm leaving it up
and
there
again,
for a
it's
second.
been done in a bipartisan way, and we should not put the full faith and credit of our country take it hostage, right? We should
She's
not
done.
do that.
She's too
And so that's what
flustered.
we've been very
She's
clear
gonna
about.
cry
It's been done
to
in a
her,
bipartisan way. The
wife
last
that
three times
her
under,
wife is an
three times under the last
MSNBC
administration,
reporter,
and that's
right?
what we want to see.
So just to be clear, Democrats and Republicans in a bipartisan way reach an understanding, reach an agreement as it relates to the debt limit. The president
What
would accept
we've
that.
been very clear. There should not be any negotiations around here. We should not be stepping around dealing with the debt ceiling. We've been incredibly clear here. This is an issue that is a constant, the basic duties of Congress to take care of, to handle. And so we're going to continue to say that. We're going to be very clear. It should be done without conditions. Thank you, everybody.
President Biden prepared for science to be his legacy when it comes to the
And then she storms out, right? So she storms out. So we know that's what just happened. They turned off the microphone, so we can't get it. So Larry Cox made a stupid point. He said 30 reporters attacking one person, a female. She is the White House press secretary. She is literally doing her job, and the reporters are doing their job. And I have to say that the majority of those reporters were doing incredible. They were doing incredible. They were asking the people's questions. And I think that's amazing. I wish they would do it more often. We've been literally yelling at them for a year for not doing it. Finally, they are. They're holding the feet to the fire. Larry Cox says, oh, they should treat her nicely because she's a female. Don't worry about what her job is. I bet you're the type of person that believes people should have the choice on whether or not to go to work or not, right? Like, if they want to work from their bed that day, it should be perfectly acceptable. I believe you also probably think it's, now I'll stop there before I go a little too far. Fuck you, Larry. There. Did I make my point clear? Damn, bro. Damn. That's her job. Of course they're being hard. And they should. They should do it more often. They should be yelling and they should be like, you're lying to us. You're lying. They shouldn't have had to wait half of the freaking interview before they started getting some actual information. No, they should have went hard right at the beginning and been like, so where are these damn fucking papers? Do you know what I mean? That's what they should have done. But no, you got the Larrys out there. Normally, Larrys that watch this channel, people with the name Larry, are very cool people. But then I guess we got a new Larry in here that's a fucking stupid idiot. And so, oh, they're being mean to a woman. That's her job. That's her job. What is that? The expression, if you can't handle the heat, stay out the fucking kitchen? You know what I mean? Damn. I think Larry's bounced. He's probably like, oh, shit. Who's this guy? Yeah, this is what I do. When you say something stupid, I call you out on it. But yeah, they should be asking all the questions, you know? That's what they should be doing. Every single day, they should be just going nonstop, 24/7, over and over and over. Where are these documents? Are there any more documents? Peter Alexander with NBC News asked some excellent questions. He's like, listen, if you're not going to answer the questions, can you get someone from your office and appoint them to be the White House counsel's press spokesman so they can actually answer some questions? Because the American people deserve to be able to hear what is out. Which is very true. They're not allowed to apparently broadcast the White House press conference, which is why we're only left with the little statements that are being published in newspapers. Ooh, man, they got him. Dow is crashing, someone said. Is it? Good. I already lost what money I didn't pull out. Oh, yeah, the Dow is fucking tanking. The Dow is down 614 points. It closes at 4, though, doesn't it? Or what is it, 430? The Dow is down 614 points today. I think the Dow should just go all the way down. Let's get around 1,000. That's where it should be. Just let everybody know how fucked we are. You know, what is it? Gas is going up now. Everything's going up. You know what you all need to do right now? This is what you need to do. Okay? If I sell 10 hoodies right now, I will make a Larry Sucks. Instead of Larry Cox, I'll write Larry Sucks. And I'll make a hoodie just for you, Larry, if I sell 10 hoodies right now on puretruthcoffee.com. Or I'll make maybe not. Yeah, I could do Larry Sucks, right? Because we have a lot of Larrys. I'll be like, ooh, liberal Larrys suck. There we go. That's what I'll do. Just for you, Larry. Liberal Larrys suck. If I sell 10 hoodies right now, I will make that hoodie and we'll put it out. Dow is closed. You mean 1.5% down, nothing burger. Yeah, it's 1.81% down. Actually, don't Patriot operator. So get your facts straight if you're going to try to come at me, bruh. All right? You know what I mean? Shit. Yeah, we've got someone every time. Someone, Eric said, if you can't handle the heat, dress as a woman. Very true, very true. I've heard that before. That's true. Larry and Karen anniversary coming up. Yeah. At least one person is taking me up and going to buy a hoodie. So you should do it. Go over to America's most patriotic coffee company and pick out a sick hoodie and add a mug to the cart, and the mug is completely free. And you'll know by doing that, Larry literally cries a tear every single day. And I don't. I'm happy. Loser liberal Larry's t-shirt. Maybe I should just make a t-shirt that says this shirt is dedicated to the liberal loser Larry that's in our chat. He's not even here anymore. I think he's gone. He's like, fuck these guys. They're mean. But hopefully all of you guys are going there. There was something else I was going to talk about, but I don't remember what it was. But if you guys are missing the link to go, and I'm assuming that some of you are because only one or two of you are over on the website right now, there's the link in the chat. Remember, you can get a hoodie, add a mug to your cart, and the mug is completely free. If you add a tumbler to your cart, the tumbler is 50% off. And that's a great way to do it. For everybody that hasn't already got your or shipping notice or something for your Patriot as F bundles, they're all in the mail except Bruce. Bruce, you ordered 4 of them, I believe. I need to get a box that's big enough to put all of them in, so I don't have to do the shipping individually because that'll kill me. But yeah, so I'm just waiting to find a box that's big enough to put those in, and then I had to order resupplies of everything because now my store is empty again after sending out all those boxes. So that's pretty awesome, but that's going out. And again, we have coffee in stock. You can order ground or whole bean in all of the classic roasts that we have. The Awake Not Woke, Wake Up America. Tell me how you like that one, the Wake Up America. That's a French breakfast. I kind of switched it up to, it's by the same roastery, but it's a cheaper one because they've raised the price astronomically on the regular Wake Up America blend that we had. So, and then Courtney said, oh crap, I definitely didn't add a mug when I got my hoodie yesterday. Okay, Courtney, here's the solution to that. Ready? So you go over to puretruthcoffee.com, right? Click on hoodies, find another hoodie that you like, add that, and then add a mug. See that? That's how you do it. Like straight up, you want to support it. And guys, if you can't tell, I've been plugging the coffee company hard as shit this month, harder than I ever have. Our sales are pretty good. What we're trying to do is get a good, platform. You'll even see ads. I'm even paying for ads. We're trying our damnedest. So if you haven't ordered a hoodie or you haven't ordered a t-shirt or you haven't ordered coffee, go now, or especially our patriotic as F bundles that come in the ammo cans. If you haven't ordered one of those, get your order in now because we are really trying to finish out the month with our highest month ever. For example, December, which should have been one of our highest months, was one of our worst months that we had in the entire year of 2022. So I'm trying to make up for that month. November was pretty poor too. So we're trying to make up for all that, get back to a healthy position. And then we're going to hit this summer season like crazy. Like crazy. You're going to start seeing it. I'm trying now to figure out if I could do something with the bigger trailer so I can get a smaller trailer. And then we're going to do live events, rallies, everything with the coffee side. Not necessarily even political stuff, just wherever they'll let me set up, like shooting competitions, mudding competitions. We'll go out there and we'll sling coffee and meet people, and we're going to be everywhere. So the coffee hoodies, tumblers, coffee cups, they're all amazing. They certainly are. So that's what I'm saying. If you want, go over there and do it. Again, we're giving away one of these wooden custom American flags. You have a choice of 3 different kinds. You have a choice of this, which is a basic American flag. You have a choice of a thin blue line flag or a choice of a thin red line flag. Any purchase on Pure Truth Coffee, for every $1 you spend, you have 2 entries. If you sign up down here, it doesn't cost you anything at all. You could just become a member on our locals channel. Hint, that is Citizen Stringer. Where Citizen Stringer is closing down, we're going to be doing this and putting out a quarterly magazine, like an actual print magazine. We'll talk more about that in months to come. But, or you could send Cash Apps, Venmos, or PayPals, and for every $1 you send, we will give you 1 entry. And then I'll do the giveaway probably not this Friday, but next Friday. So I have time to total everything up. Do I have any vests? What? No, I don't. Bradford Merchant Deb said, you like oversized t-shirts for nights to sleep in. The new t-shirts that we have right now, the ones that I printed, some of the extra large, double XL or 3X, they're actually really comfortable t-shirts, but I ran out of t-shirts. I quickly went to Walmart when I was printing them and bought more and put them in. So they're a little bit thinner, but it's okay. They're the ones that I wear under my hoodies. Actually, no, this one's the American 1776 one that I've had for a long time. Grip Van Winkle said, where's the coffee from? It's all over the place. It's all, Italy, Colombia, Guatemala. Coffee's from all over the place. That's one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start putting it up. I use the reason why our coffee's so good, to be completely honest, is because we use, someone said, show us the giveaway product right there. What are you talking about? It's right behind me. We use the oldest roastery in America. Is who we've partnered with, and so they custom roast our coffee for us. Typically, I order it on Tuesday. I get it on Thursday. I start packaging it up and then go out. So you're always getting fresh coffee. Now we've switched it. So when you place an order, your coffee is ground the day of shipping. So like if you place an order today and you get a shipping notice tomorrow, it means I ground your coffee in our coffee shop because we have a physical brick and mortar now as well, Woodstock, Virginia. Come on down. But, like I said, I'm trying to meet an ambitious goal. If I get to the goal, like for example, today, if I sell 20 hoodies, I get to the goal, I can get internet turned on in the store. I'm going to move the computer there and do the show from there. I'll just be honest, it's a shit ton of money because it's a small town to have internet installed in the store. So I just need to make it. You know what I mean? So right now I'm just driving around and I can't do everything that I need to. So hopefully that's why I have these ambitious goals. So go over to Pure Truth Coffee, buy some hoodies, buy some gear, and again, for the more expensive carts, like for example, say you put a bundle in like 7 hoodies, a bunch of cups and all that stuff, you can use Shop Pay and break up your payments. So you can break it up, and I think you could do up to 4 monthly payments using Shop Pay. So that helps too. The patriotic bundles are amazing. They come in 40 caliber ammo cans. They have a book written by a veteran, The Fiery But Peaceful, unless you get a handwritten note from me and says, here's a special code, which I have to put in there. But here's the special code because we ran out of the coffee. I'm done making people wait for orders. So now if I don't have it in stock, I'll either replace it, I'll order it online and send it to you in a separate shipping, or you're going to get a replacement with a coupon that says, sorry, your product was out of stock. Here's another like coffee, and enjoy this discount that you can use for whatever, because we have to. That's the one thing I want to do is get it. So when you order coffee, boom, it's sitting on your doorstep in 2 days. So, that's that. And I'm going to get to that point. Same thing when someone said, do you have bandanas for dogs? No, I don't, because I'd sell like 2 of them. It's not worth it for me. But yeah. But that's it. So hopefully everyone that's watching right now will go over to Pure Truth Coffee and buy up everything that we currently have in stock. I've got more coffee incoming, so you can go in there. Do I have vests like fleece or embroidered sweater vests? No, I do not. Grip Van Winkle said you're going to place an order soon. Do it now. Brian Holt said, are you quitting the Citizen Stringer thing? Yeah, we have decided that we're going to do kind of long form. Like even today, we put out some breaking news articles on the Rational American, and that's why you should sign up over there. It's free, unless you become a supporter. And now when you become a supporter, you're directly contributing to April and everybody else who is behind the scenes on this. So even like $10 a month on locals, you're directly supporting what you're reading every day, which is amazing. But We're going to do more like long form content. You're not going to see a bunch of like quick news articles. That's not what I want on there. You know, what we're going to do is longer form. So we may only put out 1 or 2 articles a day on the Rational American Locals because they're going to be more thought through, you know, articles. We're not going to be doing the short, concise news articles that we're doing before because we want to stand out and do something different. So, Trailhead, is it possible that you'd be getting any in the future for like spring or summer? Are you talking about the vests? Probably not, bro. I mean, I don't even know if that's an option. I don't even know if they have vests. Hold on, let me check through their thing. Do people wear vests? Like I used to back when I was in the corporate world, but I'm not. And not like I wore like fleece vests because that's what I like. But so as men, jackets. Let's see, fleece. No. The Letterman, which we already have on there, you could find it if you are amazing. And then, no, they don't have any. There's no vests. No vests. I could do fleece hoodies, but I don't really like them. So that's why I don't. And that's the thing is I only sell products or in designs that I like in the store. So that's that. And bikers denim vests, no, they don't have any of that stuff. But yeah, maybe later. Like one of the things I want to do that they don't do here is I want to do flannel because you guys know normally if I'm not wearing gym clothes here, I'm wearing jeans and flannel because I like flannel. I want to get custom flannel done, but it's just too expensive. I just need to keep growing and get bigger. All right, guys, I will. Someone said, what was the thing about Antifa you posted earlier? That's one of the things I was going to talk about real quick. So let me talk about that. This morning, a Georgia state trooper was shot in Atlanta, Georgia, at this place. And if you've been following it, I know we've written about it, and I know other outlets have as well. There's been this big, huge complex that has been, it's going to be a police and fire training facility in Atlanta, and it's in this Atlanta like forest, I guess is what they're calling it. And there's been Antifa camping. They're calling them like the, I don't know, Atlanta forest losers. But they're basically illegally occupying the woods and being terrorists. Some of them were actually charged for terrorism not too long ago. And what they're doing is they've burnt down vehicles, they've, sabotaged things. And then this morning, one of them actually shot a state trooper who returned fire, killing him, or someone returned fire, killing the protester. But now it's going to spark, and I told you guys this, something big is going to happen. It's going to spark a resurgence of these terror attacks. And I know if you're just tuning in, you're probably like, wait a second, this isn't true. The white supremacy is the biggest threat that Americans face, which is a complete and utter lie. The biggest threat Americans face happens to be these violent extremists that are doing everything in the name of social justice, right? And killing people and doing that kind of stuff, which is, it's very true. They have been for quite some time, and nobody cares because nobody pays attention. Well, now they're talking about on January 21st, there's going to be big rallies and protests, and they're encouraging people nationwide to wear black and go tear up the streets in the names of this, scumbag who was killed by police for shooting police this morning. So I don't know. I just hope, this is what I really hope. That's the one thing that I liked about the PBs before they, were infiltrated by feds and became feds themselves. At least not all of them, but, that's why most of the good people that were part of that group have already left. And they're like, we're not feds. The one good thing I liked about them is when they would march around and do their thing, there was no hesitation to stop. And I would think that the amount of violence that happened when they were present was nothing compared to the amount of violence that happened when they weren't present. And that is the truth, because instead of the Antifa attacking communities and attacking community members and attacking buildings, they would attack the PBs, and the PBs would attack them back. We saw it numerous times in Washington State, where no matter what, as much as you want to say, oh, the PBs are awful people, they took the attack for those communities. They did 100%. And I wish more people would do that. So like in Portland, apparently on the 21st, they're planning on marching or doing something that Antifa scum's there. I wish that Portland would just rise up and be like, nope, we're not doing this. They did once. The community did once in Portland. I wish they would do it again. That's what I wish. And they would be like, nah, you're not breaking the windows of my building. I'll break your fucking face. Like straight up like that. And just be like straight up, you know, because, and that's what it should be. You know what I mean? You can be all about social justice. You could be a tree hugger. You could be a, you know, dress wearing dude and all that and be perfectly fine with that, right? And say, but my property is my property. Don't destroy my property for social justice, for something I agree with. You know what I mean? In that case, in Portland, most of those people probably agree with the social justice themes and all that stuff. But do you know what I mean? And that's the truth. So, someone said actually seeing scary posts encouraging violence against police to answer for the shooting. Yeah, but again, most of these people, April, are, you know that from reporting on it for 2 years, they're all cowardly, you know, piss hands. So the likelihoods that the ones that are the notable ones on social media that are encouraging that kind of behavior are the ones that are going to be cowering in their parents' basements. They're not going to be the ones that do it. They're just, and every single one of them, any person on social media that's calling for a police officer to be harmed should get what's coming to them. And I know I could probably get into trouble for saying that, but you know what I mean. Nobody should have the right to threaten police officers. I don't care. Call it freedom of speech. I have freedom of fist. Like, and to be honest, and that's what it should be. You have the freedom to write what you want, but you also have the freedom to offend me. And if you offend me, then I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And I'll take the consequences of those actions. And that's where we should be in America. That's where we used to be. You know what I mean? You have every right to be offended. You don't have the right to cancel them. You have the right to break their face. Like let's live by those principles again. Like I would truly love that if we live by those principles again. Because people that are going out and threatening other people, all the people that are threatening police and that kind of stuff, that's how you put an end to it. If you want to put an end to something, put an end to it by using the same tactics that they do. And that's my belief. And I wish more people, you know, felt the same way. You know, and my thing is, my guess is there is going to be a resurgence of riots and stuff. Now, Derek Chauvin has petitioned the court to have his conviction appealed, which it's not going to, or he's appealed his conviction. Nothing's going to happen. Did he have a fair trial in Minneapolis? Fuck no, he didn't have a fair trial. They're not going to reverse it. No matter what, he still has a 21-year sentence from the feds where he was found guilty. So even though he's only trying to have the state case overturned, he's doing Fed time in Arizona right now. He's not even in Minneapolis. He's not dealing with any of that. He's doing Fed time, private protective custody in a federal institution. You know what I mean? So, like, come on, bro. Like, just do your time. You fucking killed a guy by kneeling on him or whatever the case may be. You still didn't do your job. Like, that's it. He didn't kill him by kneeling on him. We all know. We all saw the autopsy report. But you didn't do your job. You did. I was an EMT firefighter, and I know I would have done things a million times different than he did. That's the same thing. I've always said he should be charged with something. I just don't know what. I don't think it should have been second-degree murder or first-degree manslaughter, whatever he was charged with. I don't believe it should have been those. But that's my belief. You know what I mean? Everyone has opinions, and because they're like a-holes. Everyone's got one. What else? There was also, and they should he should be serving his time in state. But because he was convicted, I don't know if he pled guilty. He may have pled guilty to Fed time with the condition that he'd be moved to a federal prison. I don't know. Because right now he's in Arizona doing Fed time and not doing state time and not dealing with, you know, the community that, you know, whatever. I mean, he fucked up. He's not a good dude. You know what I mean? So I have a hard time trying to be like, oh, yeah, Derek Chauvin, oh, he deserves a free trial. Nah, he doesn't. He doesn't. Do I believe he killed George Floyd? No. And do I believe George Floyd is someone that deserved ultimately, or that got what happened to him eventually? He held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. Okay? Like, if someone deserves to lose their life at any point, it would be a caliber of person that does that. But my belief is that he didn't die at the hands of Derek Chauvin. But Derek Chauvin should be charged for negligence and contributing to the death, right? Isn't that something? That's what he should have been charged with. You know what I mean? Because he didn't render medical aid. But whatever, that's just it. And you have the shooting or the tasing death that took place in Arizona or Las Vegas. I think it was Las Vegas or in California, right? Where I don't remember who he was. He was a teacher from this area. So it's been on the news a lot here, but it's starting to get loud and vocal over that because police tased this guy and he died. And it turns out he was like a good dude or something like that, right? And even though he wasn't, listening to orders from police, everyone's like forgetting about that and saying he was a good dude. So whatever. So things are starting. My guess is in the spring, we're going to start seeing marches. We're going to start seeing all that stuff again. I'm not going to be documenting the riots like I did before. Just don't want to. It's not worth it for me. But we will. I'll cover them the best that I can. But BLM co-founder's nephew or cousin. Yes, you're right, April. I knew he had a connection to somebody. But yeah, BLM co-founder's nephew is who the guy was that was tased to death. So my guess is that we're going to start seeing something. There's probably going to be a couple other police-involved shootings over the next month or two, and they'll need it. I wouldn't be surprised if literally it's being coaxed on the back end so it could take away from everything that's happening with the paperwork in D.C. and all that stuff. Because can you imagine if the media could shift from all the bad shit Joe Biden's doing to the fact that black people are being killed by disproportionately by other. Like, I saw this thing I don't want to go on a rant, but I saw this thing the other day. It's like, white people don't have to worry about getting killed by police. Asian people don't have to worry about getting killed by police. It's only black people that have to worry about getting killed by police. Here's the truth. As a white person, I don't really have to worry about getting killed by a white person. As an Asian person, they probably don't have to worry about getting killed by an Asian person. But a black person certainly does have to worry about getting killed by another black person. They do. They have a 1 in 5 chance. A black male has a 1 in 5 chance of getting shot by another black male. That's insane. That's insane. So everyone wants to talk about the insane gun crimes and the insane all this, blah, 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 blah. Why is it that 50% of the homicides in this country are committed by minorities? Let's just say that. Over 50% are committed by minorities, and nearly 80% of the victims are minorities. We always hear that police, are shooting black people, blah, 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 or the white dude goes into the supermarket and shoots people. We did that. All these mass shootings every single day, we talk about them. All these mass shootings that happen all over the country, we always talk about them. The majority of the victims are all minorities. The majority of the offenders are minorities. That's why media doesn't talk about it. Like, if you really want to go out and say Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, actually talk about the mass shootings that happen every week. Talk about the gang violence. Wasn't there a mass shooting last night? I believe there was. No, Martin Luther King Day. There was one in Fort Pierce, 3 miles from where I used to live in Florida. No joke. 3 miles on Monday. There was a mass shooting down there. 8 people shot, 1 person died. 1 person died on Monday. Or 1 person died yesterday because of the shooting that occurred on Monday. There was also a mass shooting on Monday in St. Louis. Another one, 6 people shot. They don't talk about it. Fox News did talk about the mass shooting that occurred in Fort Pierce, but only for a second, just to give an update that the 8th victim who was in critical condition has passed away from their injuries yesterday. But nobody else talked about it. You're not seeing it on the news. You're certainly not seeing the victims' profiles being shown on social media. You're not seeing that. Should you? Absolutely, you should. We should all see it. Why is it that a gunman can walk into a supermarket and shoot a bunch of people, and they put the profiles up in their lives, and they interview their families, and they talk about how awesome they were, but 5 kids can be shot in Atlanta, Georgia by a mass shooting, and you don't know their names, you don't see them, you don't hear about them ever again. You don't. Think about it. I mean, this is what America is right now. Okay? A 30-year-old woman tried to shoot a teenager yesterday here in D.C., but luckily, the teenager had his own illegal gun. Shot and killed the 30-year-old woman. Adam called me this morning. He's like, dude, there was a 7th grader that stabbed another 7th grader, females, several times at a school right next to me. And I'm like, no shit. There was a 6-year-old that shot his teacher like 10 days ago in my state. It's happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place. But the majority of it is you're not hearing a lot. Yeah, sure, you're hearing about the 6-year-old shooting a teacher, but did any of you guys hear in Atlanta, Georgia, or near Atlanta, a little 6th grader or 7th grade girl stabbed up another girl multiple times in school, broad daylight? They haven't even charged anybody. Like, this shit really happens. So everyone can talk about all the insane stuff that's happening in the country. Oh, we can talk about censorship. We can talk about CRT. We can talk about debt ceiling. We can talk about this. We can talk about police disproportionately killing black people. We could talk about police disproportionately dying, doing their job, because that's up too. We could talk about the gas price. We could talk about everything. How about we talk about the fact that we're killing each other every single day? How about we talk about the fact that that's happening? You want to talk about equity, all you leftist morons? Talk about that kind of equity. Why is it that a black person has a 1 in 5 chance of getting shot by another black person in their lifetime? Why is it the chance that I don't even know the percentage. I know it's far greater than 50% of all homicides in the United States are minority. That's not right. And the majority of the offenders are minority as well. That's not right. We could do so much better, but we're never going to do it. We're never going to get better. We're never going to be able to manage any of that. We're never going to be able to look further and figure out how to fix that problems. You know why? Because Democrats are bad. You know why? Because Republicans are bad. You know why? Because politicians don't care. And you know why? Because you and me, we don't care really. We could talk about it. We could be outraged about it. And then we turn on the TV and we watch some show where they're killing each other. Other people, my son will be nodding his head listening to rap music that's glorifying fucking sex and drugs and all this stuff. My other kid is playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, where they shoot people with rainbow bullets. We don't care. And until we actually start caring as a country, nothing's going to change. We are rational Americans living in an irrational America. We'll fix it, right? We'll fix it. Anyway, fuck you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow, all right? That was a good ending, wasn't it? I think so. I like it.